Rebecca.
Yeah.
Rebecca, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If someone is raised in a society or a setting where...
Oh, nothing, you can't do anything. It's finished. Forgive me for interrupting you, but go ahead.
Where they're not raised to have a concept of sin, will they also be a sinner?
It's impossible. We are not really talking about the concept of sin. We are talking about making mistakes, because that's what a sin is, making mistakes. You know, and the problem with, look, to do anything in life, you need to have resources. Okay? Look, you woke up this morning, maybe you didn't want to come to class, but you showered, hopefully. You changed to some new and fresh clothes, hopefully. Okay? Despite wanting to stay in bed, relaxing, being in the sun, you got on your bike and you rode your bicycle to Laney. Those all take resources, energy. There is also this thing called hope. Hopefully the class will be a bit more interesting today. Maybe he'll be a bit less crude, a bit more nice. Okay? Maybe today I will learn something. I want to go in there so he can see my face, to know that I am present, so he can pass me. Okay? Now imagine you come to class. And I say, I don't really feel like being here. But I have no choice but to be here. So let me just put a video on so all of us can watch. Maybe I can just read a book to all of you. What's going to happen to you? You're going to be upset. First, you have expectations that were not met. That in itself is agitating, frustrating. Eventually, you'll be angry. Maybe even angry enough to go to my boss and complain. And then you say, I should have listened to my intuition. I should have stayed in bed. It's not about sin. Maybe you decided not to shower and to wear the same outfit that you've been wearing for the past week. And little by little you realize, well, Ricardo is moving this way, and then Logan is moving that way. Okay? And then Kevin, right? David is moving to Nebraska, all because of you. And then you say what? I should have showered. Maybe I should have just sat by the door and left the door cracked. The point I'm trying to make, whenever you catch yourself having made mistake, if you're really, really reflective, you say, I wasted my time, my energy. I mean, look, let's just say you don't have a concept of sin. You look like a hippie, all right? You don't have a concept of sin. Well, you're a woman in America, and let's just say you fall into what's normal in America. You begin dating at the age of 15 or 16. If you're really, really evolved and have hippie for parents, you probably start dating at the age of 10. Is it not true at the end of any relationship that goes bad, whether it's with a man or a woman, whether you bought a dog thinking that you have the time to take the dog around the lake every day, okay? You base your relationships on certain assumptions. In real life, you realize those assumptions are all wrong. What do? You sit down and you say, why the hell did I go out with a guy with those qualities? Why did I wait so long to go back to school? You don't have to be a Christian to admit that you're garbage, that you've made horrific mistakes in life. Now, the bigger the mistake, the more horrifying the consequences. You know, if you're 18 and you get involved with a man or a woman, and things don't go well, they begin to smell, you dump him or he dumps you at the age of 20, you're still young. Recovery period, 6 months. If you're 35, 30, all of a sudden, and remember by the time you're 30, your body wants different things. Your mind wants different things. You want different things. You know, the mistakes you make at 18 in terms of relationships, romantic kind, versus the ones you make at the age of 30, night and day, apples and oranges. At 30, you want to settle down. At 18, you just want to fling. When you want to settle down at the age of 30 and you have a child, you're stuck with a guy who drinks too much, smokes too much, is immature, and now you also have a child. What are you going to do? Well, go to church? You think that's going to help you? No. You are the church, you are the confessional booth, you are the priest, and you are the sinner. It's like all in one. Consider the movie Moana. You've seen the movie Moana? Ah!
I don't think so.
What do you mean? How could you not have watched Moana? Can't even talk to you.
I'm too old, and also I don't have nieces and nephews that age.
Moana is like the Bible. It has the story of Jesus Christ in it. Now, they don't live with the concept of sin, but the chief is fearful of being a voyager. He has settled, despite knowing that his community, the trees, the land, is slowly decaying. You know, he keeps assuming that if you plant a tree over there, good fruits will grow. It's only the grandmother who knows. Only the grandmother who knows. And she sees something in this little girl, whose name is Moana, that you need to watch if you want to pass this class.
We should watch the class.
No. I am far more entertaining than Moana. You do it on your own for a time. Eventually, the father comes to realize he's made a mistake. And their Messiah is his daughter, that he tried to tame, to make her traditional, to imprison her emotionally, intellectually. But, you know, she had wings. If you've ever made mistakes, consider yourself to be religious. Period. Mistakes have only one function: to make you feel crappy about yourself. Yeah! It's called humility. Ricardo, are you leaving?
No.
I mean, you know what usually happens is, do you have children? Thank God. You put your 3-year-old on a bike. You know what they say? Oh no, don't hold the bike, I can do it on my own. Okay, you idiot, go! Now you want to make sure it's on a downhill. Okay? So before you know it, they begin to scream, and then they fall and they cry. You say, oh, it's okay. Say, no, 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 that's a monster. I don't want to go near that again. So, oh, Christ. I told you, let me hold the bike. Okay? And then they cry and do all that stuff. And then they overcome their fear. Say, well, can I try it again? Say, yeah. But now they're very cautious. Pain reminds them that they're not superheroes. Pain brings humility. And then they say, Dad, Mom, can you hold? And the moment you let go, they scream, no, 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 continue holding. Once they get the hang of it, humility goes away, fear goes away. When you hold them, they say no, they scream, I can do this on my own. And it's such a beautiful scene. But it begins with arrogance. They fall. Fear comes in. Humility comes in. They pray. What is their prayer? Hold the bike. They want something more. Always be watching me. Always. Be present. You know? It's like Enoch walked and God was with him. Your child is riding the bike and you're right there holding the bicycle. Just in case he falls or about to fall, you hold him. Okay? Then there comes a time where Enoch can actually walk and he won't need you. Go back. I don't know how you feel about your parents. Maybe it was a sibling. Maybe it was an uncle or an aunt or a grandparent or a friend. You are now able to ride your bicycle by yourself. But to get to this point, you must have sinned. You must have thought you could have done it by yourself. Life showed you you're far too incompetent. You fell, scratched, maybe broke your head. Who the hell knows? You asked for help. Help came your way. In helping, you were trained. You were protected. When you realize you're competent enough, the Father let you go. And He did something that you couldn't see. You were not aware. He was really, really happy. At the same time sad, because He could no longer be close to you. There are so many subtle layers to this. Again, I don't know how close you are to your mom, but she helped you. You were on your back. She helped you to sit up. Then she helped you to stand. Then she helped you to kind of take a few steps. Then she helped you walk. Then she helped you run. With her own hands, she pushed you out of her house. And now you call her once a month. That's how it is. Now, to fully grasp this, you need to get married or maybe not get married. You need to have a child of your own or maybe adopt one and consider them your own. And then you realize how ungrateful this kid is. And when you realize that, then you pick up the phone. You say, Mom, really thanks for changing my diaper. Even though I had diarrhea for 5 years, thank you. You were a special case. 5 years of diarrhea. Anyone else? Does that answer your...
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? No one? So many sinners in this room and no confession in the form of a question. How is that possible? I know, you're too ashamed. Luke?
You said having pride is good, yet it's considered one of the 7 deadly sins. Would you say having a lot of pride is beneficial, or would you say it would be painful in a way?
Let me ask you a question. And I'm going to go back to these books that I like very much. The Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And the others. Judas and Philip and Mary and Nicodemus, that most of you don't know about. I'm going to only specifically look at one gospel where he is profoundly arrogant, and I'm talking about Jesus Christ. In the Gospel of Mark, he is referred to as a rabbi, a teacher. I think he refers to himself maybe 5 times in the Gospel of Mark. I think in the Gospel of Matthew also refers to himself 5 times. In the Gospel of John, he refers to himself as almost 100 times. It's generally called the I Am Gospel. It is the only gospel where he says, only through me will you get to God. It's the only gospel where he says, I am the wine, I am the bread. It's the only gospel that says, if you see me, you see God. Do you think he is boastful? He is arrogant to the point of being a sinner? I mean, when you stand as a human being, look at someone and you say, see me, you have seen God. Do you think he ought have not said those things? Are you good at anything, Luke?
Say a couple of things.
Like what?
Video games.
Okay, so you're very good at video games. Let's say you started at the age of what, 5? Let's say 2. Parents don't got time to be with their kids anymore. Okay. Okay, let's just be generous. You started at the age of 3. So you played about what, 7-8 hours a day? Now, you know what happens when you do anything 6 or 7, 8 hours a day? You become an addict. Okay? When you become an addict, your brain cells, your brain chemistry begins to change. You become compulsive. And when you don't reach, when you can't grab, when you can't touch the thing to which you're addicted, you throw a fit. So, though you really enjoy playing video games, if it's not given to you, you become asocial, you become introverted, you become agitated, and you become angry. There is another problem with that. Life goes very, very, very slow, especially if you're surrounded by things you don't like. Video games go very, 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 very fast. There are, in fact, cases before the Supreme Court, as we speak, where young adults have died because of playing too much video games. Because they are so exciting. You refuse to eat. You refuse to sleep. And your body eventually gives. And you have a heart attack. Okay? Now, so there are 2 things about you. Very creative, very devoted, profoundly angry. Now, you may think as I'm telling you these things, Luke, that I'm a genius. The truth is, I am. The way you played video games is the way I've played with ideas. Okay? Now, let's say I am interested in playing the game that you're really good at. Now remember why you become good. 7 hours a day for 10 years. That's a lot of time and energy and devotion, man. Good for you. Now it may be that you're putting your energy in the wrong things. Now that is more of an ethical question, where you deal with a value of a life. Because you could have, instead of spending 7 hours a day playing video games, you could have helped the homeless. You could have helped your mom, maybe helped your dad, maybe helped your siblings, maybe done better in school. So those are ethical questions we won't even get involved with, all right? But you are really, really good, and you're good for one reason. It's called a love affair you have with games. Okay. Now I am sitting next to you in a coffee shop, and I'm watching you play this game. And let's say I have a niece or a nephew who's starting to be like you, become interested in games, video games. I say, well, damn, I want to have a relationship with them. And this is the gateway. If I can tell them that I too know, then they'll see me as being cool. And then they want to hang out with me. And so what happens is I say, well, can I learn this game from you? Now there are two things you can tell me. You can say, this is a new game, I'm actually learning myself, so please leave me alone. Or you say, and it has to be at the right time, because if you really engage with the game, you're going to dismiss me. Please don't bother me. If on the other hand you played games for about 6 hours at a coffee shop, and you just want to rest, my inquiry, my question is really, really welcoming to you, because it gives you a rest. You say, well, yeah, I can teach you. How old are you? I'm 58. Arthritis? No, I'm actually quite healthy, functional. You have time? Yeah, how much time you got, you ask me. As long as you want. You say, okay, bring your chair close. Now, a couple of things have happened. First, I know that I don't know. Okay? Now, I don't really know if you know, but time will tell me how proficient, how competent you are. Okay? So I'm basing me coming to you on certain assumptions. Are you being arrogant in trying to teach me? Not if you're good. Not if you're like a manual. You know, when you go to IKEA, you open a box, there's a paper, like a thing over there that says bullet 1, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you can teach me like that, you are a gifted gamer. It's an honor to sit next to you. You can be boastful. You can be judgmental. You can say, no, this is not the way you do things. You can even scream. But scream at me when you and I actually do have a relationship. Because if you scream at the first 5 minutes, I'm just going to walk away. And it's a lose-lose for both of us. If you're good at something, you have every right to be proud. The problem is this. If your pride is not tamed, if your pride is housed in forgetfulness, you know the saying that my shit don't stink? Okay? Then yes, that pride can actually be quite devastating for other people. If on the other hand, that pride is housed in humility and awareness, mindfulness, it's actually quite good. Let me give you another example, and it comes from my own life experience. Imagine you send me an email and you say, I want to come to your office and have a chat with you. I'm not 20, I'm not 30, I'm not 40, I'm almost 60, man. And I've been teaching, being around students for almost 30 years. There isn't a question I haven't heard. There is a story I haven't heard. And you know what is most valuable for me right now at this stage in my life? My time and my energy. When you come to my office and sit there for half hour, if I feel it's going to go to waste, I'd rather sit by myself and watch Pinocchio. Watch some stupid movie. At least I can get some pleasure from that. Let's say I find you worthy of my time. I need to know that what I tell you is going to sink. If you come to my office and I tell you something and you don't listen and you don't apply and you come back again with the same goddamn question, I've given you my time, but I realize I've wasted my energy. Now, I may give you my time and energy on your first email. You come to my office, we sit. I'm going to pay attention to your body language, to your question, to how many times you interrupt me. And I'm also going to see if you're going to email me afterwards to say thank you. Because if you forget me, I'm not worth your time, and neither are you worth mine. Then I'm going to see how long it's going to be before you come to the office again. If it's more than a week, it's not worth my time. Now, when your email comes to me the second time, I'm just going to say, sorry, I don't have time. And the third time, sorry, I don't have time. And now you may go to your friends and say, what an arrogant prick. What you don't know is that I have wasted a good amount of my time for the past 30 years. I'm unwilling to do it now. In your world, my behavior is arrogant. In my world, my behavior is profoundly mature. I respect time far too much than I respect you. The point I'm trying to make is, when you read the Gospel of John, he may sound like an arrogant prick to you. And if you happen to be a-religious, if you happen to be liberal, if you happen to be an intellectual, you're going to read the Gospel and say, really? First of all, I believe in perspectivism, diversity, the fact that there are no right or wrong answers. You live your life, I'm going to live my life. Who says you're right? Who says I'm wrong? There is no God. I mean, that's the modern perspective. Okay? Now, that may be your perspective about Jesus Christ in the Gospel of John. But what you don't know is this. When he dies, in the Gospel of Luke, on the cross, despite being profoundly arrogant, Father, forgive them for they not know. Well, where the hell does that humility come from? Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. My God, why have thou forsaken me? How could such an arrogant prick all of a sudden ask for help? Because he seems arrogant to us, but he's profoundly humble on the inside. No different than Socrates. No different than Malcolm X. Watch any number one in the world athlete, whether they ski or golf or play tennis or play soccer. They are profoundly arrogant, but they wake up at 4 a.m, practice. They are profoundly humble before their craft. You want to be proud because you have worked really hard. Don't be proud simply because you assume. That's stupid. And to be good at anything, at least 15, 20 years, if you're lucky and talented. Most of us are just mediocre. We're not really good at anything. I had a friend a long time ago. His name was Gurjeef. He's dead now. I actually never met him. He was born in the late 1800s or 1900s. He said one of the problems with people is that they're never good at anything. If you're a great shoemaker, if you're a great cook, if you're a great poet, what all these great people have in common is that they all have to make sacrifices. If you want to be what a great son looks like, it's the video game, it's helping your mom wash dishes. You sacrifice the video game and you go to your mom. And when you do this constantly, and you're aware and mindful of this, then you look at your sister. When your mom says, "Can you wash dishes for me today?" She says, "No, I'd rather go out with my useless friends." Then you say, well, that's not the way love is defined, that's not the way respect is defined, that's not the way maturity is defined. And your sister happens to be 45. And then when she comes in, she says, "I'm an adult, don't talk to me that way." You say, "No." Now, you may sound like a prick to her, but your arrogance is rooted in understanding. And it's worth having. And remember, when people say, "I'm proud," when you're proud and it's rooted in hard work and sacrifice, you become profoundly judgmental. But your anatomy of judgments is rooted in observations. You pay attention, you take notes, and then you come to a conclusion. It's very, very different from someone who just comes to a conclusion without making observations. Now, you may say, "Well, Jesus Christ is God, and what I say is blasphemous." Let's just say you make that judgment. And let's say I come back with all these historical stories or documents or facts as to, in fact, Son of God has existed for a long, long time in all sorts of cultures. Well, what are you going to do? What's your comeback as a 20-year-old? You're going to throw me like a verse from the Bible? And what, you want me to take you serious? You have blind faith. It's a faith in which there are no eyes that see, understands, thinks. But you have the right to believe whatever. Be proud if you're good. Anyone else? Oh, I know you're all very sad that the class has ended. It's good to see all of you. Have a nice day. Again, don't be like me. Wear your masks at all times.
I'll see you later.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.